And this one we are going to be launching the Try Django 1.8 as a brand new project and new virtual environment on our local computer using the GitHub code and using Git clone. So what that means is you are going to be needing to have Git installed. If you don't have Git installed, you might check out the Heroku tool belt because it's really easy to install, or it installs Git for you and it installs some other tools that you might need to use down the line. So I highly recommend checking this out if you don't have Git installed. If you do have Git installed, let's go ahead and get started. So you go to the repo for Try Django 1.8 or the repository on GitHub, and we're going to clone this URL. You can just copy this right here, and that will actually copy it for you. And then we're going to want to open up a new virtual environment, or excuse me, a new terminal. And then we are going to, I'm going to put it onto our desktop. And here I'm going to make a directory. So I'll make mkdir, and we're going to call it e-commerce-2. And then I'll cd into e-commerce-2. And this is where we're going to clone our GitHub repository. So I'll say git clone this, and then put a dot at the very end so it clones it into the folder that we have right here. If I list everything out, I see that I now have Try Django 1.8 inside of this project. And now I want to create a new virtual environment, virtual env, and then again a dot to actually execute this virtual environment inside of the same directory that we're in. And then if we list this out, we see the virtual environment stuff such as bin, lib, and include. And then we want to activate the virtual environment. And if we do bin source.activate or /activate, that will work for Mac and Windows. If you're on Linux, you'll do scripts.scripts/activate, and that will do it for Windows users. Now that we have this, if we list everything out, we see that we have all of the Try Django 1.8 type of stuff. If we want to actually change things about this, which we will do, we will want to rename our Try Django 1.8 project at some point to e-commerce 2. That makes a lot more sense. So we'll do that in the next one. But for now, we want to install all the things that are necessary for this project. If I do pip freeze, I'll see that either nothing's installed or you'll see something like wheel, or something else. That's not a big issue. If you see security warnings, you can just do sudo pip install requests security, and then you just type in your admin password. Of course, if you're on Windows, you don't need the sudo to actually do this. You would just do pip install request security outside of the virtual environment to make sure the virtual environment security requests go away. So you might see some errors with requests and stuff like that. So I'm going to let this part finish installing for just a second, and we'll be right back. All right, so now it's finished installing, and it installed all of the request type things that are giving a request error, if you did see that. Okay, so now we want to install everything that's related to the project itself. If I do pip freeze again, then I see all of those things that the requests actually installed. So I have a bunch of new stuff installed inside of this virtual environment. And if I cd into source and I do pip install -r requirements.txt, this is going to install all of my requirements that are in the requirements txt text. But what I want to do is also pip install Django --upgrade. This is ideally what you'd want to do, assuming that the current version of Django is still Django 1.8. So let's go ahead and check that out. We'll go to djangoproject.com, and we'll see in our documentation or in the download, the latest release is 1.8.4. So instead of --upgrade, which is how you would upgrade any other pip project or pip installation, you would do == 1.8.4. And this is going to just give us the latest version of 1.8, which is something you would probably want to do when 1.8 updates. So if it's 1.8.7, you're going to want to update to that one. So whatever that latest release is. Luckily for us, Django 1.8 is going to be supported for a couple years, so this is something that we won't have to change the version of 1.8 very much in the future, or for a while at least. All right, so now that we have that, we want to do pip freeze and then put this into our requirements.txt. That just copies the pip freeze into the requirements and saves it. So if we opened up requirements, it would have Django 1.8. And now that we have this, let's list everything out. And I'm going to remove the databases, so db.sqlite3, and remove db.SQLite, db2, excuse me, .SQLite 3. That's just deleting all the old data. And then we'll do python manage.py, and we'll do migrate. And this creates that new database for us. So if we list everything out, db.SQLite 3 is back. And then python manage.py, and we're going to create a super user. And we've got an error here with our actual registration profile. So that actually has to do with one of the packages that we have from Django, the try Django 1.8. So let's actually cancel this out. I cancel this operation with Control-C. And what I'm going to do is actually see if I can upgrade the registration Redux. So first off, I'll do pip freeze. And I'm going to go into Redux right here. So I'm going to copy Django registration Redux and do pip install registration Redux and then upgrade and see if there's actually an upgrade for it. There is an upgrade for it. So we'll do, again, pip freeze to requirements.txt. And now let's go ahead and run create super user again. And this time that error goes away. Now there's little things like this that do happen from time to time, and you might not know exactly what to do. I just knew that this had to do with registration, so it had to be something along the lines of what we did with registration, which was Django registration. That's what we did in try Django 1.8, of course. All right, so that's kind of how you do that. Of course, if you have any issues with those types of things, let us know, and we'll take a look at it. So I'll make a username, and I'll use jmitchell3, and then hello@teamcfe.com. Of course, that is a real email address, and you can email us there. And then our password, I'll just do 123 because in a testing environment, it doesn't matter what the password is. So python manage.py, run server. Or actually, I should say back to that testing environment part. It does matter if you have sensitive information. For us, we are literally just testing stuff. There's no sensitive information, so the password doesn't matter. And then notice it has this error of migration, so let's just do that real quick. So python manage.py, and we'll do make migrations, and then python manage.py, migrate, just to make sure all of the migration happen. We get this database error. So a real simple thing for us is remove the db.SQLite 3, and then we'll just run migrate again. Creates everything, python manage.py, create super user one more time, and jmitchell3, hello@teamcfe.com, 123, 123. There we go, and we'll run the server again. And we'll go to our site for it. And if we see here, we have our MVP landing here up and running. And if I log in with jmitchell3 and 123, it shows me that I'm logged in. Perfect. So this is where we're going to stop for actually setting up try Django 1.8. If you have any questions on this, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.